Hey everyone, how are you guys doing today? My name is Tammy Davis and I want to thank you for being here. If you're new to my channel, I appreciate you checking it out. I invite you to subscribe, possibly join my email list. You can do that in the description box below, and share. Let me know if you have questions about anything. So, yeah, today I'm going, well, let me back up. I have actually been asked a couple of questions over the last week with regards to different types of cancer. So I thought, I would kind of talk a little bit about essential oils and cancer and my approach, the aromagenomics approach to addressing cancer. Um, that said, I did a blog called the Chemistry of Wellbeing, Psychology and Chemistry of Wellbeing, and it's kind of it's a strange name, but when in that blog post I begin to discuss the chemicals in or constituents of essential oils that are very, very beneficial when it comes to communicating with the DNA and the DNA's communication with the outside world. And that said, when we get to the point of and so that you can, and that link is below as well. But when we get to the point of actually developing cancer, the bottom line is, for as much as we would like to be able to eradicate the cancer in an unconventional way, all too often it's not, we don't have a lot of success. And I realize that we can talk about the conventional way, which is really depletes the body energetically. It's just very hardcore on the body. So I understand not wanting to do that. There's actually a book that I read years ago called The Grape Cure, and it's based off of a woman from South Africa who is devising a way to deal with stomach cancer, her own stomach cancer. And so she adapted this way with just treating people with grapes. They stopped eating everything but grapes. Essentially, the body was completely emaciated because it was just losing everything as a result of just, pounds of grapes a day, to the point where they were like near death. But then again, the cancer was gone. And so there's reports that her work was successful. She actually she came to the United States, and because she wasn't a physician, she partnered with, she sought out physicians. This was at the turn of the 20th century, who would at least observe and supervise her practices so that they could document what was going on. And it was effective. Again, it was one of those things where the body was just dropped to near death, not unlike chemo, truthfully, um, but it was successful. And then there was a slow restart to reintroducing foods, and she had an entire dietary thing. I think it was raw. After that, she had people, she had people going on raw diets. And in my opinion, as far as a raw diet is concerned, well, they're great. Um, it's there's a lot of benefits to a raw diet, but just kind of balancing it out with some cooked foods from time to time is probably a better way. It's a little bit easier on the system. That's my personal opinion. However, I digress. We're talking about cancer today. So the two that I was presented with, one was an infant. She's 12 months old, and she's got a tumor on the pancreas. Um, she is stage 4. Um, and if you are watching this, and I would just invite you to please hold her in your thoughts and prayers. They have been able to shrink this tumor. I think they said it's about half the size that it was, but they've contacted me for additional help. Wanted to know if oils would be a benefit. And they do. They are a benefit, but I'm not, and as I told him, I'm not doing this in place of the conventional work that's currently she's undergoing. This is in addition to, this is a palliative being a complement to what she's currently undergoing. And then the other one was a tumor on the kidney. And unfortunately, this man only has one kidney, and it's advanced far enough to where the doctors only want to do chemo. He's developing fluid in the stomach. He's in advanced stages of cancer as well. Um, again, wanting to know if there's something that could be beneficial. The doctors have dismissed him essentially from their care, telling him he can go out and do whatever he wants. And now he's found himself some people who practice natural remedies but are um, familiar with medicine, and you're seeing funny faces, funny looks on my face, and that's because um, for as much as I respect the conventional model, I just don't align with it being the only way. Just like I don't align with natural being the only way. We were given the knowledge to not only understand how our ancestors worked with oils, I mean, not oils, pardon me, but plants in general, and studied them, and we continue to study them, but we have the ability to create medications. And when we get into the advanced stages of cancer, or cancer in general, um, medications are recommended simply because you have more concentrated doses of what the body is going to help eradicate this cancer. At the same time, it doesn't eliminate the reason for the cancer. And this is what I'm getting at with my work. It's like, can we finally get to the reason for the cancer? And I'm not suggesting that we go out and pinpoint a particular chemical. It's not it. Um, it's just not it. Our problem lies in the fact that the environment is polluted with many chemicals, polluted with it's polluted with a lot of information. I just want to say it that way. It's disturbing to think that we have all of this technology, and we have no idea the detriment that it's causing on the external world as well as our internal world. And I've talked countless times about the way the body is reacting to the environment. It's just reacting. It's a survival mechanism. There's information coming in that because the DNA is in communication with the environment all the time. There are specific pathways that are notifying the DNA as to what's going on, so that the DNA can make the necessary changes to itself to influence the production of oxidative stress for the simple sake of protection, restoration, repair, rejuvenation, you name it. This is what oxidative stress is supposed to be doing. This is the reason why it's inflammation. Okay, but that's not supposed to be an ongoing thing. Light is another form of technology. Again, this is something else I've talked about. This is not a conspiracy theory. Okay, the fact is that 5G is a form of light. Where we used to talk, on a wire, we now communicate with light. Think about that for a second. We're now communicating via light. That's what these are. Oh. It's just 158. But that's how this operates. Okay. Um, it's light. 5G is light. Now this is a 4G phone. Well, I shouldn't say it's a 4G phone. It's a phone that communicates via light. Typically it's 4G, but at this point, the network that I'm on is a 4G network. However, that makes no difference. There are other companies who are doing 5G, and from internet to your phone. So there's the United States alone is covered in 5G. So you don't have to have it in your house, although most of us do. Um, this light, we're affected by it because it's been determined, there's plenty of scientific evidence to show that light alters genetic expression. This is what happens with sunlight, okay? No different. Sunlight alters genetic expression. And this is the reason why a growing season can change a plant very easily. This is one of the reasons why I talk all the time about know what's in your bottle of oils, because that light alone will change the way, again, the DNA of that plant responds to the environment, and you may have more of one constituent and less of another. Where, this very same plant grown in another state or another country had different light exposure, and therefore, the chemistry was different. So it's important to know. That's important to know, but the fact is that light does this too. So all of this advancement of technology, for as fabulous as it is impacting us. And so we cannot pinpoint a particular chemical when it comes to these cancers. Of course you have, pardon me, I'm just going to scratch myself. It was burning, man. Yeah, I just kind of dug in my shirt there. Anyway, oh my gosh, can't believe I just did that. Well, I'm not going to stop now. Of course, there's the question of why would an infant be born basically with pancreatic cancer, and it's because of the environment. That's the best answer I have. And although that seems like a very simple and vague answer, it's okay. So what? It's vague. The vagueness of it is we don't know which chemical did it. What we do know is that the environment did it. Not too complicated. The difference between but see, this is where I come down to the oils, because while there's a selection of oils for her, there's an entirely different selection of oils for him. Now, what's fascinating to me is that when you look at, let's just say a tumor, lung cancer, okay, versus kidney cancer, the genetics involved, there's different pathways involved. The same thing could be said for pancreatic cancer. So this in part explains why we have to have different medications. Okay, so again, going the conventional route is, yes, beneficial because you have concentrated doses, and that are going to eradicate. But again, we're not getting rid of the reason for the cancer. And we can walk around scratching our heads and fighting amongst ourselves and, creating all kinds of havoc, which it's justified. And I say keep going, because if we can do something about this environment, thank goodness. But in the meantime, the reason for it is the stinking environment. So what do? We improve the level of communication in the pathways that are communicating to the DNA. Okay, the ones that are notifying the DNA, we improve that. This again goes back to that blog that I wrote back in December. I'll just tell you straight up right now. Beta-carophylline, eugenol, and methyl-eugenol have all been found to improve the function of the acetylation and the phosphorylation pathways, which is the MAPK pathway that is notifying the DNA of potential threats. This is a significant reason why it's important for us to alter the way we think about things, begin to respond to things as opposed to being so heavily reactionary, because the body's already reacting to the environment. If we can't get ourselves together long enough to be able to go, wait a minute, I'm okay. Hey, look, here's the deal. You can go outside right now, or somebody can spray something over the house, or whatever. And all of, you could be just going about your day, and the next thing you know, you're feeling anxious, you're feeling depressed, something happened to your mood. We have a bad habit of running around or thinking about this and thinking that there's something wrong with us. We go out, we seek help. If it's an ongoing basis, look, I'm not suggesting not to. I'm not saying don't get yourself checked, but bear in mind that you could have been exposed to something. Chemicals will activate a hormonal and immune reaction that could very well trigger what feels like anxiety. We don't need to be taking anti-anxiety medications if, in fact, we're being polluted by the environment. Oils are your better bet. Again, if you're dealing with cancer, do the conventional route, but select oils that have those particular types of those constituents that I mentioned. As long as you're not taking any sort of blood thinner or psychotropic medication. And by that I mean if you're not taking something for depression, it's an antipsychotic, antidepressant, or an anxiolytic. You want to, if you're taking any of those, please don't use those medications. And the same thing could be said for blood thinners. So there's cautions, and in which case we would come at it from a different angle, and that would require a personal consult. Other things, for instance, with pancreatic cancer, there's a very specific pathway for that. 2 years ago, it was determined. I'm going to have to put this in my newsletter. There's a particular type of chemical found in feverfew that has been found to inhibit that pathway and improve that function. Again, we can look at that specific pathway, but if the use of an oil or the use of even a feverfew plant or herb is very helpful in the sense that it begins to help round things out because there's other constituents in it. Just taking that particular constituent, while it may inhibit the activity of that particular pathway, it's just targeting that one pathway. It's not, again, addressing the reason why the body is acting up, why the body is, to what the body's reacting to. So in order to calm that reaction, number one is the mind, and number two, beginning to include oils. Myrrh is another good example, which will help with that because it has been found to be able to regulate the stress response. It's very supportive of the immune system. It's very supportive of the hormonal system. So it's exceptional. Now, if you have if you have a tumor, you have cancer, it's not advisable just to do these natural things alone. It's just not. Using them alongside your medications or your treatment is the one that's recommended. It's the only way to go because the oils help to round things out. They address the parts of the system that the medications are not. In other words, they're addressing the reason, which is an active, overactive stress response. You get what I'm saying? When it comes to kidney cancer, again, it's a different type of different mechanism, different genes are involved, but oddly enough, it all goes back to this MAPK. Every single one of them, hands down. Lung cancer. Some of the genes involved with lung cancer are the very same genes involved with breast cancer. You can't make this stuff up. And they all go back to the MAPK pathway that I was telling you about. So those particular constituents are in fact very helpful when it comes to reducing that stress response. Now, here's the thing. You can look up an essential oil. You can do it online. You can do it in books, wherever you do that, and you're going to see anti-tumor effects. You're going to see, because, and again, and just because we're going back to the MAPK, okay, so this is an important thing. Beta-caryophyllene is found in a number of oils. It's not just in one, okay? And again, you don't want to use it if you're taking any form of psychotropic medication. I'm sorry, you just don't. That said, there's a synergistic relationship that occurs when you have a complete oil because beta-caryophyllene interacts with other constituents, and so therefore it has a more well-rounded effect on the system. However, since you're trying to go for the MAPK pathway in the case of cancer and relieving that, and we should be doing it regardless of cancer or not. But the fact is, because we want to relieve that stress response, just because it's listed as an anti-tumor, or having anti-tumor benefits, properties, does not make it the one for you, depending on what your cancer is, okay? An anti-tumor, anti-cancer, these are broad statements, again. So a cancer is unique in the sense that there's different genes involved. We don't want to just talk about the pathway that's activated. These are called overexpressions. Well, the reason they're overexpressed is because they're open and something activated it. And although the MAPK pathway notified the DNA and stuff started changing to create, to alter these genetic expressions so that they're overactive now, does not mean that every oil that's listed as an anti-cancer or anti-tumor is for you. It takes into we have to take other things into consideration. Where is the tumor? What else is going on in the body? For instance, with the cancer on the kidney, and they wanted to know oils for that because there was fluid building in the stomach. I recommend, and I know there's no other medications being taken. I recommended celery seed, um, grapefruit, and laurel leaf, and tangerine. Those are the four that I recommended. Um, to help get rid of the fluid, to help protect the kidneys, and to help with the reduction of the cancer on the tumor on the kidney. So, but again, it's based off of what he has going on in particular. I don't necessarily recommend that blend, if you will, for other people who are living with a kidney cancer, because other issues they have going on are going to be slightly different, and there's probably going to be medications involved. So these are very important factors that need to be taken into consideration. Again, oils benefit because they support the rest of the system. Keep in mind, you don't want to take them by mouth. If you have a serious health condition going on, you want to be putting them in the bath. You want to get as much into your system as possible without putting them into your mouth. And you can put them on your skin, but a couple of drops here and there isn't going to do it. Again, medications work because they're concentrated, so that means you've got to up your dosage of oil until the system becomes more stabilized. So the whole point to all of this is that although it's considered cancer, and although we're looking at tumors, there's different genetics involved. Again, although the MAPK pathway is directly linked, keep in mind that several oils have methyl-eugenol and eugenol and beta-caryophyllene in it. Okay? So those are not uncommon constituents. We just need to know what else is going on with the body and begin to make determinations with regards to supporting the MAPK. The other genes that are involved, in order to calm that overexpression down, we've got to slow down that MAPK. That's the biggest one. But again, if there's medications involved or other symptoms involved, which there will be, then determining what's best for your system is really what matters. That's what makes this a more personalized approach, as opposed to just making blanket random suggestions that are good for everyone. And I know that I think about 5 years ago I started doing that with breast cancer, and it changes. It really changes. And I think I've upset people because, well, they wanted me to give them ideas on what to use for them. But I mean, medications, what else you're doing, and remembering that not everything that's natural is safe. So there's a lot of factors that need to go into this. But the bottom line is that cancer changes depending on the individual, and it depends on where it is in the body. And what oils you select, you want to make sure that they have the constituents that will help support improved use of the hormonal stability, immune stability, MAPK stability, DNA stability, right? All of those things need to be taken in, and there's definitely a way to incorporate oils, but just please don't look at them as the answer. They are a method of communication within the body, yet it takes other things to make it all work together. All right, so I appreciate you watching. Let me know if you have any questions, and I hope you're having a beautiful day wherever you are.